All right, welcome back to this week's segment, Week 15 in the books of Fantasy Corner of the San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and I know you guys are used to seeing Justin here, okay, that beautiful face of his, but this week we actually have a really esteemed, very educated friend of mine. His name's Ryan Bramley. He goes by Mr.
Steve,
Bramley.
Ready to pump you full of football knowledge.
Oh, my goodness. This guy is, talk about fantasy guru. I thought I was good. This guy's been doing it for like 15 years straight. So, you guys, thanks for tuning in to the show. Okay, again, this is the Fantasy Corner of your normal SD Sports Junkies. What we're here to talk about is the fantasy playoffs this week. Okay, we have, we got a lot to talk about. We have a bunch of blunders. We have some huge fantasy heroes this week, and we have your Week 16 starts and sits if you are in your fantasy championships. Feel free, if you're watching the show, feel free to call in. Our number is 619-387-3452. If you have any questions, if you happen to make it to your finals and you got a couple questions about who to sit or start, please call. By no means are we geniuses, but there's a reason why he's in the finals, and there's a reason why I'm in the finals in two of my three leagues. Multiple leagues. So we tend to make the right decisions, you guys. I'm sorry, I totally just burped on camera, dude. But would this be fantasy football without burping?
Oh, no.
So
we're lacking the beers.
Right. Actually, we need a beer sponsor. So if you are a local brewery, please contact us after the show. And
armchair quarterbacks.
I would love to enjoy your beverage during my program. All right. First off on the thing, I just want to say congrats to anyone making the finals, man. Oh, little golf clap. Good job. Stoked on you guys, man. Right on. Joining the ranks of championships to come. Also, a big hail to Adrian Peterson. Are you kidding me, Bramley? Yeah, I got to get that's not even golf.
If you have Adrian Peterson, you are doing big things.
Big things.
Yeah, obviously he's on pace to break some records this year. I see it happening.
What's he, 298 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record that's 30 years old?
Yeah, I see it happening. I mean, 1,812 yards I think he has right now.
Yep.
The record's 2105.
Yeah, so he's 298 away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record. You can't tell me that that's not in the back of everyone's head at Minnesota. Okay, they're going up this weekend against Houston.
They're playing a tore ACL. I mean,
they're playing against Houston this weekend, right? Do you think that they're going to do anything besides hand AP the ball?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, they're giving him the ball. They're giving for sure.
Right.
He gets the ball regardless. They could be down 14 points. Adrian Peterson's getting the football.
I don't see him actually rushing 200 yards this game. However, a solid 150 and put him halfway to breaking the record, I think is totally doable for him.
I see a battle between him and Arian Foster. Arian Foster's a big-time player as well.
Totally.
And you can't forget about him as well. I mean,
right.
This is going to be big matchup between the two best backs in the league.
And just like the two sorry fools that went up against me in week 2 of the fantasy playoffs, I actually own Adrian Peterson, and I killed you guys, smoked you guys. And for all you other AP owners, congratulations. Our 4th round sleeper pick came in huge value pick.
I knocked Adrian Peterson out of the playoffs in my fantasy football league.
Well, you know what? Congratulations, man. Adrian can't carry the whole fantasy team. He can do pretty close.
Absolutely not.
Damn near close.
But if you drafted Calvin Johnson with Adrian Peterson, if you don't win a title this year, you did something wrong.
Yes, you did. Unless you traded him, and I got Calvin Johnson in a trade.
And whoever traded you Calvin Johnson is an idiot.
You know what's funny? What's funny is the guy that traded me Calvin Johnson that I'm up against in my fantasy final this week.
And you will win.
I should dominate.
You have Adrian Peterson on your team as well?
Adrian Peterson and Calvin Johnson.
You won the championship, buddy.
Randall Cobb, Wes Welker, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Hernandez. Thank you.
Yeah, you can pretty much put that in the bag, bud. I don't even have to hear the other team. You won the championship.
So that concludes our quick segment on a hail to Adrian Peterson. That guy is just complete beast mode. Also, you know what? Off subject from fantasy, I personally want to welcome back to San Diego Radio hosts on XX 1090. Actually, now it's the mighty 1090, Scott and BR. You guys, stoked to have you back, man. Missed you.
Goodbye, Hacksaw.
Goodbye, Hacksaw, for at least that second 4-hour portion of the day. You know what? Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, if anyone of you guys listen to AM Sports Talk Radio, Lee,
he was a guru in his day.
You might be able to swallow him for about 3-4 hours a day in the afternoon, like where he was at, but now he's moved to mornings. And I don't know about you, but when I wake up and I get my freaking coffee from AM PM, and I got to turn on AM and listen to freaking Lee Hacksaw Hamilton begging for phone calls.
Hey, he's a tired man.
My gosh. You want to talk about Lee? Call me right now. 387-3452. I'm not Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Okay. Enough of Hacksaw. I'm done with that.
It was time for a change when he left the booth of the live broadcast from the Charger games.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the guy, I think it was time for a change as soon as he didn't change his haircut from 1977.
Right, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Bowl cut.
That's a hit in the face.
Bowl cut and some huge bifocals.
What about some guys that blew it this week, Steve? Well, who are some guys that blew it for your fantasy teams this week that cost you playoff games?
Nobody blew it for me. However, now these are some names that are going to strike you as like having decent games, but if you have them on your roster, some of these QBs like totally laid an egg for you. First one on, Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, right? But the Broncos dominated, and that's not a normal display from Peyton Manning. I mean, if the Broncos win a football game, you're normally going to see big numbers from Peyton Manning.
204 yards, 1 TD. Now, the only problem with that, if that was a normal week, say week 7, you might have slid by with that. But if you're in your fantasy semifinal, you're up against a team that has an Aaron Rodgers, that has a Tom Brady, that has a Drew Brees.
Right.
Peyton Manning throwing up 200 yards and 1 TD isn't going to win you your week. So Peyton Manning,
when the other team's offense doesn't show up, it makes it very hard for him to do that.
That's true. But however,
running the ball well.
You got Tom. I'll tell you what, Tom Brady can be up by 50 points and he's still throwing TDs with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you're right. And they're not playing good defense.
That's correct. Another guy that laid a goose egg for you that actually was coming on pretty hot was Andy Dalton. 127 yards, 1 TD, and what was it, 3 picks?
3 picks.
Is that a phone call?
Phone call.
Is that a phone call in my ear? Oh my gosh, that is a loud ring. Ring, ring. Waiting on the connection here. We got a phone call? All right, connected through. Hey, welcome to the Fantasy Corner, Bestie Sports Junkies.
What's up, guys? This is T-Money calling back.
T-Money.
All right, you got some money for me, buddy?
Well, let me remind you guys about T-Money. T-Money sucked it last week with Wes Welker, and he lost, and now he's not in. So T-Money, what's up, playa?
What's up, man? Who's the new guy in your booth, Steve-O? I don't know about him.
Dude, okay, Bramley. Let me tell you about this cat.
Come on back. He'll take your money.
I'll tell you. Oh, okay.
He'll take your money.
Take your money, T-Money. Bramley, dude. Bramley's, if I didn't explain to you guys already, we got like a 15, 20-year fantasy vet here playing a long time. Wow. He's actually played in all the different formats. So I happen to be a guy that excels in like the PPR and bonus point format. Bramley's seen them all. So Bramley's a guy that's played a long time. We went to high school together. Really smart dude, and we're looking to take this show to the next level next year.
20 years. How many
Hey, T-Money, how you been, buddy? Yeah, 20 years. Maybe since I was 12 on Steve's watch, but no, he's a little off. But yeah, I've been playing fantasy football for a good one.
How many championships you got in your amount of time? Just curious.
Hey.
How many championships you got,
Should I lie here? Do I need to lie here? No, I've got a couple.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, that means you're credible. You got radio street cred then.
There you go.
There you go, buddy. What do you got for us?
Guys, I know you already put this to bed, but I want to touch back on the whole Hacksaw thing, man. I know you guys sound like you're hating on him a little bit, but, I mean, he's near and dear to my heart for this fact and this fact only. Back when we were kids, we're all probably about the same age, he was doing the Charger games on 1090, or not 1090, whatever.
I enjoyed Hacksaw.
It was the mighty 690 back then.
690, you got it, right. And like he's just old school like that. That's why
I did not. That's not coming from me, T-Money. T-Money, I respect Hacksaw Lee Hamilton, but it's sometimes it's time to kick him. John Madden had to kick him at one point. And and it's Madden. At some point it's time for the new schoolers to rise above, you know what I mean? And so in some ways I agree with Steve, but Hacksaw is a legend for sure.
T-Money, I gotta disagree, man. I'll tell you what, have you ever sat there and actually listened to I had the privilege one day of sitting in about 4 hours of traffic coming back down from LA. I listened to Hacksaw for 4 hours. And you couldn't imagine how many times in a 4-hour period that the guy would beg for phone calls, threaten to get off the air because he had no one co-hosting his show with him.
Is this, but Steve, in defense for Hacksaw Lee Hamilton, a proven veteran, what does AM radio have to offer as far as all these radio shows? It's hard to survive. And he's doing the best he can, and he's a legend, and we have to at least give it up for him on that aspect.
You know, he is a legend. He's doing it a long time. He's done it in multiple cities. AM radio here in San Diego has a lot to offer, actually.
It does, absolutely does.
One of my favorite guys in the morning, actually in the afternoon now, they switch this whole time. It's Darren Smith. Darren Smith has an awesome show. My two favorite guys, Scott and BR, just returned to the 1090 team, so I'm stoked on that. And Hacksaw happens to be like the black sheep of that radio station among all the hosts of the show. However, management loves Hacksaw. He ain't going anywhere. So you know what? This is a time for us just to vent, because guess what? It ain't going to do anything. Hacksaw's staying in the morning. But
he has to have some point where the guru stands. Toby, you got
real quick, maybe he's just got a lack of callers because of the NHL lockout, maybe, you know? Yeah, right.
Right.
Oh, NHL lockout. This is fantasy football T-Money at its best, and you are asking us about the NHL lockout.
What is NHL? What does NHL mean?
Did you sign up for NHL fantasy, or am I blind?
What's the NHL? I haven't heard anything about hockey since Gretzky.
Crickets.
Gretzky was great.
I just heard about Gretzky because he actually had a house right here in Carlsbad.
Hey, you know what? Hockey's a great sport, man. I mean, it's just as rugged.
Why are we talking hockey?
But let's move on from hockey. T-Money, give us something.
Somebody hang up the phone on T-Money. What a freaking fantasy football phone call are you?
You guys went away with hockey. I was making a joke because hockey's a joke.
Hilarious joke. Toby, we're all laughing we're all laughing hysterically.
Listen, I know you're going to send Hacksaw the Christmas card. Tell him that Steve Owen Bramley from the Fantasy Corner said hello. And that he sucks.
And do me a favor and call in tomorrow to Hacksaw's show and ask him about hockey.
Right.
As for us today, we would like to hear what you have to say about fantasy football. Is there a question for us, T-Money?
This is not the hockey hotline.
All right. Anyways, I'm getting bored here. Hey, real quick, what do you guys suggest about? I got two running backs going in the championship game. Vic Ballard and David Wilson.
Ooh. Vic Ballard all the way. Vic Ballard all the way, buddy.
Hold on. Let's hear the man.
By any means, but I'm kind of hurting on my bench. You know, I got David Wilson handcuffed to Bradshaw. I got Dwyer on the bench and Fred Jackson on IR, obviously.
I personally think
kind of sad, man.
I go Ballard.
I go Ballard. I agree, Steve. I agree 100%. You go Ballard. Ballard's getting the touches. David Wilson might be in a time split here with Ahmad Bradshaw. He's going to play. I mean, the Giants, they just came off of a terrible performance, obviously. If you had any Giants players and you were playing them fantasy football,
Hey, Tom Coughlin.
Nowhere to be found.
Hey, Coughlin, where you at?
Obviously, Toby, you need to play Vic Ballard. It's 100% guarantee he's getting the touches. It's going to be a toss-up.
Dude, I have Eli. Speaking about Giants, I started last week. I had my options of Josh Freeman or Eli Manning, and they both got shut out. But I still won my game and got third place, like it even matters. But it's just a funny story.
Right. Well, hey, like you said, you heard it here from the Fantasy Corner. I'm not the guru, however, I'm very, very good. We both said Vic Ballard, definitely. David Wilson's going to be a guy to look at next year. I guarantee you get him in some good value in your draft. He's probably going to go like an 8th or 9th round pick, a guy that you can sleep on for a few rounds for sure. Yeah, Bradshaw's going to be in the picture.
David Wilson is
over Andre Brown. Do you know how old Andre Brown is? I think everyone forgets that he's no rookie. The guy's been in the league for freaking 10 years.
David Wilson, listen, he's a good play, but Andre Brown, he's non-existent in this.
Right. So what I'm talking about here, I was talking about the draft, and he said, "Oh, Wilson over Andre Brown, absolutely, dude. Wilson next year in like an 8th or 9th round pick. It might even actually be a little early for him. I actually drafted Randall Cobb in the 10th round, and people were laughing at me. And look at where I paid off on Randall Cobb. So." Wilson, keep him in mind for next year. This week, definitely start Vic Ballard. Thanks for the call, T-Money.
Yeah, Wilson's a good play as well, though. I mean, he is. But with Ahmad Bradshaw there as well, I mean, Vic Ballard all the way.
Yeah, Vic Ballard. All right,
Vic Ballard's a sleeper of mine this week. Not a sleeper. Obviously, he's put up pretty good numbers in the last couple of weeks, but against the Chiefs, come on.
Yeah, he's going to have a good game. You know what? Just a couple of the quick notables for Week 15. Some quarterbacks blew up. We got Russell Wilson, 205 yards, a TD. He ran for 92 and 3 TDs. Are you shitting me?
Sickening.
Oh, my gosh.
If you think for one moment that because not Vic Ballard, but Wilson, big week. If you're going forward with Wilson, he's not putting those numbers up.
Definitely wouldn't start him this week. Brady, huge week. 443, a touchdown, 11 yards rushing, and a rushing touchdown. Breeze, 307, 4 TDs. All right, Breeze.
These are guys you have
Breeze?
to start.
Breeze, thank you. Okay, you know what? San Diego, love to you, buddy. I know you're still sitting there. You might be watching our show, Breeze, from your San Alejo home, bro. Hey, we love you, Breeze. You are fantasy gold.
Nothing new from these
Fancy
names.
gold, nothing new. But huge weeks. Sam Bradford actually had a huge week, and I project him to have a good week this week.
Bradford had a huge week. I get that.
You know who? The biggest surprise, bigger than Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins. Kid threw 329, 2 TDs in place of RG3.
If RG3 doesn't go this week, he's not a bad play.
Not a bad play at all.
Not a bad Eagles.
Biggest duds, okay? We already went through Peyton Manning, Andy Dalton, Matt Stafford. What in the hell is going on with Stafford, dude? 246, 3 interceptions, no TDs.
No TDs. Yeah, at that point, you drop back, with a blindfold. You blindfolded, you can drop back and air it out to Calvin Johnson.
The problem with Stafford, this is the biggest problem with Stafford, and he's actually the biggest dud. Stafford, going into the season, you draft him first round if you guys have a quarterback-heavy league. He was the number 4 quarterback off the charts in most leagues. Stafford, the numbers he's put up this year has not been anything close to what he's projected.
As is the number 2 receivers. His number 2 receivers have been fumbled around. Everyone
That's
was
true.
high on Titus Young. Everyone was high on whoever. Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
All right, wide receivers that blew up this week,
James
and I'm
Jones.
sure you already know this. James Jones, definitely. Are you kidding? Well,
I
you know what's
had
funny?
him plugged in for Roddy White.
Yeah, and
Had him
you didn't pull the plug.
And ESPN talked me out of it.
Yep. Yeah.
I was talked out of it.
Andre Johnson, 151 yards, 11 catches, 1 TD. Brandon Lloyd, 10 for 190. What? If you get bonuses for yards over 100 and 150, you're stoked. Michael Crabtree, what?
Michael Crabtree
Niners.
will continue to impress you.
Yeah.
That's a sleeper. Hey, Michael Crabtree, last three games, he's blown it up.
Yeah.
Quarterback change.
Yep.
Hey, last 3 games, he's had over 100 yards, I think. Well, not over 100 yards all 3 games. He had 94 yards. He's been a big player.
And
he will do it. He will continue to do it.
Welcome back to top 10 status, Eric Decker. I know Demaryius Thomas has been shooting you in the foot, but Decker, despite Peyton Manning's 204-yard effort, Decker had 133 yards of Peyton Manning's 204.
And where at has Demaryius Thomas shot anybody in the foot? This past week, if you're in the playoffs, he shot you in the foot.
Yes, you did. So it sounds like a couple people are a little bitter over here.
I'm bitter.
A little bit. All right.
I played Roddy White. I played him. I played Vincent Jackson. Those were my guys. They failed for me. I lost my championship.
Biggest names that might have killed you this week. Roddy White, 2 catches, 16 yards.
Reggie Wayne, 3 catches, 14 yards.
Hakeem Nicks, 3 catches, 40 yards.
Jamal Charles, 12 touches, 28 yards.
Victor Cruz, 3 catches, 15 yards. Victor freaking Cruz.
Roddy White, 2 catches, 16 yards.
I already said that.
Did you say that? Good. I wasn't listening to you.
Good Lord, you never do.
I know.
You know who else actually? A couple other guys actually who would be like definitely flex starters for you. Jeremy Maclin, 4 catches, 73 yards, no TDs. Maclin going into this game, a lot of people, it was kind of flip-flop. I actually was really high on Maclin, and he just was not the target of Nick Foles this week, man. It was Avant.
Listen, you don't start Eagles. Eagles are done. They're done. They were a big time thing to pick up early when you were drafting your fantasy teams. Everyone had big things. McCoy, all these things for the Eagles. Eagles didn't do anything.
Yeah, but you know what? I actually still. You know what's funny is I actually like any Eagles players with Michael Vick out. The guy wasn't making anything happen. Who had a bigger game? Deshaun Jackson would get 70 yards a game. No one else would get close to 30.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Jackson's – you can bring Deshaun Jackson into the mix, but Deshaun Jackson hasn't played with Foles. He's out. He's on the IR. He's done. Deshaun Jackson's been a disappointment all year long. I mean, he's not what they expected him to be.
Right.
Of course, he's done his job as far as being that guy that's on the field that's going to bring those defenders and to get the looks from the defense. But, yeah, he's another guy that's been a bust this year in fantasy football.
Keep going through. Who else do you think kind of blew up this week, Bramley? Tell me what's up, dude.
Oh, man, guys, big time this week. I mean, all your key guys, obviously. I mean, you got Jason Witten. Jason Witten's been solid at tight end.
Own him in 2 leagues?
Own him in 2 leagues. That's a good pickup. I mean, obviously, Jason Witten was a late pickup in drafts, most drafts.
Ninth round,
right?
Huge. Guys, when you got Gronk and Graham coming off the board in the second round, which prior to the draft and prior to the season, Graham and Gronk were definitely worthy, I feel, of a second-round pick. However, because at the tight end position, that's a funny position this year, you guys. Tight end, and that's going to be a weird one next year. When you're talking about the average output of a tight end being usually 8 to 10 points in standard scoring, and you got a couple guys prior to the draft that are capable of putting up 16 to 20 points a game, that is a huge difference.
Well, look at all the solid quarterbacks in the league. If you have a solid quarterback, you're normally going to have a solid tight end. So, the Giants tight end, he's solid.
Yep.
Eli Manning. I mean, Eli Manning is, in my opinion, and always has been overrated, but that's just my opinion. But, I mean, Drew Brees, solid.
Yeah, so pretty much if you are a number one wide receiver, number one tight end, tied to a stud quarterback, you're set. Couple more studs this week. Pitta had a great week, and I think he's gonna have another good week. You got. I don't think Bolden's gonna be a threat whatsoever.
Well, I disagree. I think Bolden's gonna have a big game this week. He's a roller coaster ride all year long.
I think you're ugly.
I think you're uglier, but yeah, uglier. But yeah. I disagree with that. I think Bolden's been a roller coaster ride, but I think against the Giants, I think he puts those numbers up. I think that the pass rush is going to bring a big game out of Ray Rice.
All right, you guys, running backs that blew it up this week for Week 15. AP, obviously, we already talked about. Arian Foster, 165 yards. Didn't hit pay dirt, but I don't think it's going to be the case this week. Marshawn Lynch, beast mode.
Oh, yeah.
113, 1 touchdown. Moreno, who's actually...
Watch his play this week because he does play against the 49ers. So.
I would stick. You know what? Now, Marshawn Lynch, though, has definitely. Would you think that he's into that status as a guy that you have to start?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have. Obviously, there's all kinds of guys you have to start. I mean, a bust this week, Jamal Charles. You can't sit Jamal Charles.
No.
I mean, who sits Jamal Charles? If you have Jamal Charles in your lineup, you're not putting someone to fill him in.
I'm sitting him this week.
You're going to sit him this week.
Yeah,
and who is filling in for him?
Darren Sproles.
Okay. Hey, that's a decision that I may not agree with you, but
granted, you guys, now let me explain myself. Darren Sproles, it's a PPR league.
Okay.
Huge.
That's a good reason to change up why. And
there's also bonuses for over 40-yard catches, 40-yard runs, and there's bonuses for over 100 yards. So I don't see Jamal Charles eclipsing 100 yards this week. I don't see Darren Sproles doing that either.
My only argument to that is touches.
5 minutes.
Touches.
Give us 10. 10. We got too much to talk. Okay, we got 5 minutes.
Touches, though. Touches. Sproles and Jamal Charles.
Okay, Sproles, Charles. I'm still starting Sproles. Okay, real quick, let's go into Week 16 bounce backs. I think Denard Alexander is going to have a better week this week. I'm projecting 5 catches, 70 yards, 1 TD for D. Alexander. Some fill-in starters. I like D'Angelo Williams. Is this not the time of year, you guys, for D'Angelo Williams, circa 2009 playoffs? Do you guys remember? Hey, let's go ahead and just bounce back. Bounce back to 2009.
You bounce back.
My God.
The reason that works is because of Cam Newton.
Right.
That works.
Huge
Steve
game.
Smith will have a huge game this week.
I disagree. I don't like Steve Smith.
Also, Crabtree. Michael Crabtree is a must-play, I think, this week. If you're looking for a flex receiver, Michael Crabtree, you put him in the lineup. Since Kaepernick's taken over, he has 100 yards. He's averaged 100 yards a game.
Yeah, and a TD.
A touchdown a
he
game.
had two TDs last
he's
week.
Big time.
Crabtree is definitely the number one target in San Francisco. And this week, even playing in Seattle at home, which has that 12th man, I'd still, Crabtree is a flex start for me. I wouldn't start him as actually one of my starting wideouts, but I got a bunch of studs, so I can't start Crabtree. But on your roster,
people are looking to fill in that slot,
right,
Crabtree's available.
Right.
And Blackman as well.
Justin Blackman definitely a good start this week. All right, here's a couple surprise sits, and these are guys that are definitely on your roster if you're in this fantasy lineup, fantasy championship. Darren McFadden, I wouldn't play him this week, Carolina. The law firm, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. Hey man, sign those papers. Sit his ass against Pittsburgh. Okay, Jamal Charles versus Indy. I don't like the play. I don't like the guy. I don't think he had 12 carries for 14 yards last week. Are you shitting me?
But do you put a guy that awesome in back-to-back weeks to do that in back-to-back weeks?
You know what? I'm gonna say about Jamal Charles. You know what's awesome? You know what's awesome about Jamal Charles? His hair. His running ability, his O-line is not awesome. Thank you.
Well, what happens to Jamal Charles is they fall behind very early and often.
Yeah.
And that's the Chiefs. The Chiefs suck.
But him and Polamalu can do some great Head and Shoulders commercials. Do you agree? Thank you. Defense. Chicago at Arizona. Must start.
Broncos
Houston
versus Cleveland.
Must start. Houston versus Minnesota. Must start.
Chargers versus Jets. Start them.
Wow.
Yep. Start them. Chargers versus Jets. Start them. The Jets are terrible offensively. One of the worst offenses in the league.
They just gave up 31 points to the Panthers.
They gave up 31 points to the Panthers. Is Mark Sanchez Cam Newton?
No,
not even close.
No.
You start Chargers.
He's definitely
Jets,
not. He definitely doesn't have the tan.
That is a sleeper.
No.
You do that.
I don't like that. I like New England against Jacksonville as my sleeper, actually.
Did you just compare Sanchez to Cam Newton?
No, you didn't.
Where do you start off offensively? At the quarterback position?
I want to talk tight ends because
we should move on to tight ends.
Apparently, we're past freaking 5 minutes. And do we have any more phone calls, guys?
Sleeper tight end, Finley.
No tight end? No call-ins. Okay. Tight ends. Obvious starts. Gonzo against Detroit. Hernandez, Jacksonville, stardom.
Hernandez is the obvious.
Witten versus New Orleans. Number one tight end this week, guaranteed. QBs, you know who you want to sit? Freeman. You want to sit Eli Manning. You want to sit Russell Wilson, even though he blew up last week. He's against a tough. He's a Frisco D this week. You can't start him. Running backs, my sits. Now, this is important, you guys, and these are guys that are on your roster, guarantee it. Frank Gore, got to sit him against Seattle.
I agree.
Seattle at home. That defensive front seven is just insane.
I agree. If the Niners move it offensively, they use it through Crabtree.
Chris Johnson at Green Bay. They're not even going to be close to being anywhere close to into the game. So the fact that you think Chris Johnson is going to bust off a 94-yard run with Clay Matthews just chasing him down? No.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Is that in Green Bay?
It's in Green Bay.
Nothing's happening in Green Bay for Chris Johnson.
So if you happen to have... Now, Chris Johnson didn't get you to the finals. However, you might have been there in your flex if you have that position. Chris Johnson, sit him this week. Steven Jackson is my surprise sit of the week. I don't like his play against Tampa Bay.
Steven Jackson, no. Well, Tampa Bay, they're going to get that through the air. That's obvious. I mean, everyone's done it. Everyone's got Tampa Bay through there.
Wide receivers. My sits are Anquan Bolden at home versus the Giants. Reggie Wayne at KC. He is a huge Reggie Wayne. He loves that guy. Loves Reggie.
Yes, absolutely love Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne's a good play this week, in my opinion. He sits him, I start him.
I gotta disagree.
That's gonna be hard.
This is the same guy. The same guy that's saying it's a Vic Ballard show.
It's the Chiefs.
It's a Vic Ballard show in KC, not the Reggie Wayne remix.
It will be the Vic Ballard show in the second half of that football game. Reggie Wayne will light up the scoreboard.
I'm sitting Greg Jennings versus Tennessee. Okay, he's a stud. Right, he's a stud last year, not this year. Sorry, Greg. It's a Randall Cobb show. Steve Smith versus Oakland. I'm sitting.
I'm starting.
Dumb.
And what is dumb about it? Cam Newton's on fire. Steve Smith's the only proven receiver.
You ever seen The Lord of the Rings?
Who else is proven in Carolina?
Steve Smith co-starred in The Lord of the Rings. He's a hobbit.
Steve Smith is the only receiver to start in Carolina against a terrible Oakland defense.
Listen, when you take advice from Gandalf the Grey, I'm not starting the guy. Steve Smith, sorry, dude. You got to be 5'8.5" at least to play in the league. So, you guys, that is the. Are we good on time, you guys?
Wait, whoa. The 5'8". Is this coming from a guy starting Sproles?
Got to wrap it up. Hey, you guys. So, again, this week, Fantasy Corner, the SD Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and we got Bramley. Thanks for filling in, dude. You know what, you guys, we're going to actually be doing this every week for the next couple weeks, and we're going to start again back in, I think, May, or right around draft time. So you guys definitely want to tune back in. We want to talk about the rookies coming in. We want to talk about your lineups for next year. So you guys, let's actually make a really cool fantasy show out of this.
Yeah, we can do this.
Dude, thanks for tuning in, and guess definitely next week, if you have any questions, please call us again at, let me see, dude, I got so many sheets here, 619-387-3452. Stay tuned, stay on the channel, www.justin.tv/SD Sports Junkies. We have Josh coming on board. Justin's out with his girlfriend this week. What, dude? He's hanging out with his chick.
Hey, come on.
So Josh is going solo. Actually, not going solo. He's going with one of our producers, Jason. So you guys want to tune in the show. SD Sports Junkies. You guys want to talk Aztecs. You want to talk Padres. You want to talk the Chargers.
and remember to start Crabtree and Ballard.
Right. More back to fantasy talk. Hey, please tune in next week. I want to hear your call. I want to talk some shit. Talk to you next week. Thanks, guys.